Hello, everyone, and welcome to the webinar today hosted by Roibos. During this webinar, we'll zoom in on a topic that is becoming more and more relevant to our industry. So basically, how digitalization can empower you to grow your business. Before we get started, just a couple of logistics. If you have any questions, feedback, or comments that you want to pass on to the speakers today, there's a small area down here at the bottom of the screen, Q&A. You can leave them there. And then before we finalize, we will address some of them by the end. So thank you in advance for your participation. Let me start with a brief round of introductions. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Astrid Kastberg. I am Juniper Sales Director in Europe. Roibos has kindly entrusted me with the honor of moderating today's discussion. So thanks in advance for the invitation. With me today is Patricia Rosselló. Patricia is CEO and founder of Roibos. Patricia's background in hotels and online distribution, as well as her deep knowledge of passion for tourism, led her to pursue the path of becoming an entrepreneur last year. Roibos was born back in March 2020 with the ambition of optimizing the distribution chain, so searching for efficiencies to obtain disintermediation by reducing the number of intermediaries, as well as obtaining more personalized response to clients' needs. So hi, Patricia.
Hi.
How are you?
Nice speaking to you, Astrid, and thank you for having Miquel. Very nice this afternoon too.
And next we have Miquel Moya, Director of Global Partnerships at Google. Miquel originally is a software engineer with a background in travel companies, where he took the leap to Google. For 6 years, he oversaw Google's travel sector as an industry director before relocating to his new role based out of New York. So welcome, Miguel. Thank you for joining us. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you for having me here. It's a pleasure.
All right. So I hope you will all agree with me that there's an interesting mix that we bring to the table today, not just by contributing with an enormous personal and professional experience, each one, but also each company that we represent has a different expertise, and they have the common denominator of dedicating ourselves to online distribution. So each one of our companies can play a decisive role in the success of our audience's businesses, either to enter the digital space for the first time, or if you have already entered, find out how you can maximize your benefits by improving your position. While we'll see how Google is the guru of data insight and the pioneer within the UX innovation, Roibos takes that insight to distribution of travel by creating a space where travel operators and hoteliers get closer to in a very transparent environment. Juniper is a leading travel technology supplier worldwide. We supply the technological backbone of our more than 350 customers around the world, including Roibos. And with the platform that frees up time from technical concerns, giving them, our customers, a more customizable off-the-shelf solution, which gives them speed to market when it comes to accessing a unique ecosystem of connectivity so that they can concentrate 100% on creating value to their business. So if we dig a little deeper, I think has been an acceleration, we've all seen it, an acceleration in digitalization globally. And this has definitely been emphasized by the COVID-19 pandemic, where many traditional players have seen the urgency in the need to go online in order to continue to be competitive and stay relevant, not only in the B2C field, but it's also true in the B2B arena. So this is also something that we're gonna look a little closer into today. Google, it's a goldmine of insight into online customer behavior data. And thanks to its presence, we're able to get unique vision on the current trends in the travel market, as well as forecast future expectations based on real-time observations. In fact, according to a Google study, digitalization has been accelerated by the pandemic by 3 years on a global scale, up to 4 years in the Asia Pacific region, and 3 years in Europe and North America, which is quite high, valuable to notice. So, Miquel, how would you describe today's status within digitalization and its progress? How would you paint the picture for our audience today?
Great question. I think that I started working in the hotel industry 18 years ago. And I remember back then that the cost of distributing a hotel room could cost up to 30 or 40%, right? Those costs went down significantly as a result of digitalization, how people get access to internet and to content, and the ability for them to make reservations through internet. And the cost, as I said, went down significantly. And what we've seen, it's because of what has happened in the world, that digitalization move up significantly. You mentioned these 4 years. There are other studies that said maybe the number could go up to 7 years of progress in just 7 months, right? And I feel that it's just the result of what we've seen, the trends that we've seen in the interactions between people and technology. We had the internet boom 25 years ago. Then we had the mobile revolution, right? That meant a lot of changes for businesses, for companies, for consumers as well. And since maybe 4 years ago, we live in this data explosion, and not just data explosion, but the ability to use data to make business decisions, right? That with the advances and progress in machine learning and cloud computing has moved it up to a new place where concepts like efficiencies, scalability get a new meaning, right? So I feel that definitely, digitalization has been a key topic for all businesses. Now it's more than ever. And I feel that scalability will be the key here when connecting consumers to businesses to distribution companies. That's how I feel we should think about the opportunity we have ahead of us.
Miquel and Astrid, I would like to add something else, because here at Roibos, we work very closely with the hotels. And I have to say that the hotels have used this pandemic, lots of them, to do their homework. They have used many tools, RMS systems, channel managers, platforms like marketplace like Roibos. So they have done a lot of homework, because if you think that they were closed down, but they still needed to get the fares and the descriptions and the photographies and to the world, but the B2B distribution was not there because they were closed down, as we know. So they've done a tremendous amount of work. I've seen lots of small hotels. Some of them, perhaps they didn't even have a website, but they've improved, or they just built a website. They introduced a lot of channels, a lot of little tools to help them to become more digital. And I have to say, I'm impressed with the speed that they have worked during this pandemic. And from the travel agency side, maybe I've seen some advance, but I think it was quite tricky in a way. But the hotels, maybe the tools were more easy to access or cheaper, or I don't know, but I've seen a big revolution with the hotel. The small hotels, they couldn't rely so closely with the traditional tour operators, so they have to sort of invent the wheel again, and they revolutionized by bringing the digital into their businesses. So I want to say that what Google is seeing, or they have seen, I've seen the same with even not the big chains, the small independent hotels over there. So agreed.
Absolutely. And it's interesting when you're talking about data, right? Because data can be a challenge, right? There's always talks about reports and numbers and KPIs, and it's not always the same KPIs that's valid for the same business model. Not every report or data analysis works for the same businesses. Each one has to find their own, right? So it can seem pretty overwhelming for a lot of businesses, particularly the ones that are still just entering the digital arena. In fact, there's another study by Google that shows that less than 1% of the unstructured data is analyzed or used at all. And of the actual structured data, less than 50% is used to actually make business decisions, right? It's overwhelming how much information we have. So navigating through what to use, what not to use, in a world where, well, more than 127 new devices are connected to the internet every second, right? So I mean, it's just speed is definitely part of the day to day. So for our audience today, that represents DMCs, tour operators, OTAs, travel agencies, for some of whom who have not yet taken the technological leap, right? Or are in the early days of digitalization of their business. Miquel, what would be your advice to them in terms of the first steps to take? How do they start?
Yes, it's a very good and tricky question, Astrid. And I think here first is that digitalization is not an option anymore, right? We all need to embrace that, and not just because I'm saying it. It's because where the customers are, right? If you want to get access to them, you really need to embrace that opportunity, right? I think that scalability, as I said before, is more important than ever. You mentioned some statistics on how we use data. Data is available to everyone. I feel that, or the way I like to say it is like this is like the solar energy, right? It's available to everyone. The challenge or the opportunity is how we process them, right? How we process this opportunity. I feel that being able to process this information, how you digest your interactions with your customers, with your partners, or in a way that you can process and make good decisions out of it, it's very important, right? I feel that also size is not the most important thing to have, and this is call out for small businesses as well. I think that with size also, if you're not a very large company, you also have the ability to adapt yourself faster, right? And in the current world, this is very important. So being able to play that out, it's key here, right? I mean, I don't have the size, but I have the flexibility to adapt myself to new business opportunities in a way that I can maximize, in a way that maybe larger companies cannot, right? Being able to find the right partners, it's key, right? And I feel here companies like Juniper, like Roibos, bring that scalability to companies, right? And being able to connect these partnerships in a way that can help you maximize the technological opportunity, it's very important, right? Where do I play my core business? Where do I rely on key partners to help me out with scalability, with technology advantage for me to win within the new challenges we're seeing ahead of us? That would be my advice for companies that are really wanting to maximize the opportunity and do in a year or a year and a half what other companies have been doing for longer.
Right.
From my point of view and my suggestion, knowing that the audience, we've got a mixture of travel operators, OTAs, DMCs, bed banks, etc. I can see in the travel industry that the front end to the consumer, they're quite advanced. There is a lot of digitalization when it comes to doing the marketing, getting to the end consumer. websites, Google Ads, a lot of technology there to get to the end consumer. But when I see this sort of collaboration with the stakeholders, for instance, hoteliers, car hire companies, transfer companies, etc., all the stakeholders on the other side, the back end, the suppliers, let's say, it tends to be more traditional, let's put it that way. There is less digitalization in that side. And that's what we bring in with Roibos, a solution that digitalizes every part of the value chain, from the contracting to the loading to the mapping. So what we try to do is bring the hotels much closer to the source, eliminating the huge cost of integrating or working with each of those different hotels all over the world. So a good way perhaps to digitalize going forward, as Miquel was suggesting, is go with solutions that are already made and already available. So one of them could be Roibos, for instance. But what we've tried to do is reduce the cost. I was the chief operating officer of a bed bank until 2 years ago, and I decided to leave to build Roibos. I'm an entrepreneur, and I decided to leave to build Roibos because I saw many inefficiencies. I was dealing worldwide with many hoteliers, many technologies, many different ways of doing business, many mentalities. And every time you wanted to work with a hotel, it was needed a different integration. Sometimes you had to sign contracts annually on a piece of paper. That piece of paper had to scan to the head office, load it onto a platform, onto a system. Then someone had to do the monthly yielding or the weekly yielding. And that, all of that, there is no room for that going forward. I mean, the pandemic doesn't allow the extra weight. We have to be very lean. All travel companies, well, all companies need to be lean, but especially the travel sector is being really hammered after this pandemic. So there is no room for extra weight. We have to do things very efficiently. And I think digitalization and tools like Roibos then can really reduce and help travel operators, OTAs, tour operators to do what they're really good at, which is buy good, buy well, and sell better. So as I was saying, tour operators, travel agents, operators, fantastic relationship with their clients. They really know, or they know more and more every day what the client wants. But that side of the collaboration, the human side, I think it's always been there. I have to say the travel industry always been a people's industry, very handshakes, but the technology, we need that technology fast, and we need cheap solutions. We want efficient solutions. We don't want to be integrating with different, different technologies in Asia, in one sort of technology, Europe, another type of technology. So we need some sort of aggregators, much easier way going forward. So I think digitalized is, as Miquel was saying, it's not an option, it's a must. And there are many tools out there now which allow us go forward in a much leaner way to the future.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can I build on that? I think that one interesting topic is, which is a challenge for an opportunity as well for all companies, is the transition from a fixed cost challenge, if you want to put it this way, to a variable cost, right? And that happens with computing access. We've moved from on-premise servers to the cloud, right, where you're not paying any more fixed costs, so variable costs. And that happens the same with distribution, right? So for not just the small players, but big players as well, is the challenge of how can I digitize my services in a way that it doesn't impact my CapEx, right, but my variable costs. And this is why I feel it's so important to work with partners, or to understand what's the partner ecosystem within your business, for your business in general, travel agencies, tour operators in particular, to understand how you can minimize those fixed costs and translate them into variable costs. For example, I have to work on how do I operate with my invoices, for example, right? Do I need to invest in a capability that it's very heavy in terms of investment, or can I variabilize that cost, right? So the more I grow, the more I pay, the less business I have, the less I will pay, and I will have, you know, the constant optimization as the result of this scalability, a scalable approach, right? And the same when you're trying to capture new business, right? Where the more you variabilize your cost, probably the better.
Right. Right. Yeah, I think what we can sort of summarize this in, right, that we're in an extremely interesting period of time right now where there's technology is being normalized, right, because it's accessible to everyone, and there's always new ideas, new startups popping up with bringing new value to the table, or new things how to improve and how to optimize. And that's really where what, like you say, it's accessible to bigger, but as well to smaller ones now. And what they can actually do is decide, okay, where do I want to go? And I can actually build my own system with the perfect bits of each system that I need, and combine that together to make my personal product value, right? So that ability really to pick and choose to create your own project is very interesting in that way. So getting the expertise from each technical provider in their own field is important to take into account, right? So data from Google gives insight on what customers are searching for, and they make sure that you contract the right product that is relevant via someone like Roibos, and have a system that can fully understand and apply your business rules in terms of pricing in a system like Juniper. And then you get the best possible conversion rate for your business. So once the travel company has taken that technological leap, how do you stay relevant? How do you make sure that you maximize your potential in order to become the best version of your business?
I'll go first.
Please.
What we've done, it's a marketplace. So in a marketplace, it's a bit of a replica of what Amazon is done. It's a free world where lots of suppliers, lots of clients, and they interact in a very, very transparent way. And I think that's what Roibos brings to the table: democracy and transparency. We've got the hotels. They can come, they load photos, they load the content automatically translated into 9 languages, and it is distributed across the world through the network of travel operators. The rates can be uploaded directly onto Roibos platform, or via the channel managers or PMS. The hotel can decide. But all that technology is being taken care by Roibos marketplace. It is not anymore a worry of the travel operator. We've taken all that burden from the travel operator. So they can just focus in having that relationship, but all the data is already uploaded into the system. So and then we've got more and more travel operators joining. So the scalability is automatically there. The work is done for one hotel or for 20,000 hotels. The work has been done for one travel operator or for 30,000 point of sales or 300 travel operators. So I think we just lost Astrid for a second, but I'll carry on until she joins back. So that scalability in the world of Roibos, it's very easy. It's very easy. It's very scalable, where it's the perfect marketplace where people just interact, and it's very, very easy to escalate because the work is done directly by the hotels on a one-to-one basis or on a chain basis. And from the travel operator side is one API connection, and they automatically have access to the 30,000, 20,000, doesn't matter how many hotels. We are moving now at the speed of 60, 70 hotels are getting live on a weekly basis, and automatically they are live for those operators. So the scalability is automatically there within the system. We did care for that. So if you are a tour operator or an operator or bed bank working the traditional way, then you need huge amount of people to cater for 70 new hotels on a day-to-day basis. Working with Roibos, you don't have to worry about, I need more resources to cater for those 70 or 80 or 90 extra hotels a week. In our case, in Roibos, is automatically connected and is automatically live. So we do cater for the scalability. I was gonna throw a question back to Astrid, but I think she may be having some connections. So I'll carry on if you want. Miquel, I don't know if you wanna introduce some extra knowledge. I can see now she's just joining.
Sure. Well, while she joins, I totally agree with you, Patricia. I think that it's very important to make sure you connect demand with businesses, right? It's very important to understand who your customers are, so you can adapt your value proposition to them, right? In the best possible way. I think that personalization it's critical here in the current world, and being able to understand how you will adapt your offer to those customers, it's very important. Once you have it, it's how you can automate your message. Again, automation it's very important in this current world. So how you can automate your message to them and stimulate the demand so you can grow your business. And then, nowadays there are ways for you to capture this demand. Oh, there's a bit of echo. Okay, so there are ways to capture that demand with business rules. So instead of saying I want to run a campaign where I'm going to invest, X amount of money to capture, or to get access to these customers, there are ways now to include your business objectives and KPIs within the way you activate the demand. For example, I want to get access to these customers at a certain amount of dollars or a percentage of acquisition costs connected to the marketing campaigns. Right, so the ability to include that within your business models is very important.
Astrid, I'm not sure if we've got you back.
You have me back. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you well. Perfect.
All right. Apologies. So that's a proof that you need to choose your Wi-Fi supplier correctly.
It means that we haven't prepared anything, that we are completely live. These things happen, so don't you worry.
Yeah, I'm not able to share my video, so let me know when I can do that. So
don't worry. I have a question for you though, since you are back. We were talking about scalability, and I did explain how Roibos as a marketplace, it doesn't matter if we've got 20,000, 30,000 hotels, they're automatically connected with the travel operators, for the fact that they're maintaining and doing all the mapping, all the maintaining of the prices, maintaining all the photographies, images, content, etc. But you guys at Juniper, how do you cope with this scalability? How do you offer the scalability to your client? That's something that I think our audience would like to know.
Right. So, well, basically, from our standpoint of view, we always advise companies to choose a system that adapts to their business rather than your business having to adapt to your system, right? So don't ever sacrifice flexibility, right? So that's really what we have done in the system. So making sure that flexibility and scalability are really key in helping you position yourself and so on. So what we've done and how our system really grows is upon the demand of our customers, right? Where's the need? Where's the demand? They're our source of what's going on in the market. And based on that, it's a system that definitely grows. So it's always an ecosystem that's in constant evolution. on a monthly basis, we're updating the system, right? So that makes it a really powerful. So once you're actually on Juniper, it allows you to say, okay, well, I'm only going to start with smaller scale. I'm a startup. I want to start with selling hotels, but maybe in 5 years, I'd like to go take the step further and do flights. Well, you know what? You're set to go. You're ready to go when that time comes. So that's when the system will evolve for you and do that. So there's the things that are off the shelf that are really convenient for our customers in order to scale up in an agile way.
Fantastic.
Right. So onto personalization. There's in the travel industry, prices always seem to be one of the main competitive factors, right? Over the years, if not the biggest.
Sometimes the early one.
Right, exactly. Depending on specific products that you're looking at, it's hard to differentiate yourself. And research seems to indicate that with the COVID-19 pandemic, there may be changes. Right now, consumers are taking other factors into account when they're making the decisions, such as safety, refundable prices, and so on. So it also seems like the players in the sector need to know how to differentiate themselves in alternative ways than what have up until now been the norm when they're building their brands. So in Google, you're quite focused on personalization, right? It's definitely one of your key strengths, I would say, in terms of product placement. So knowing what product to place when, where, at the right time. And for our audience today, who are not only focusing on, so how can we improve in the B2B arena, increasing supply, purchasing the right way, and all, they have to resell that product, and they need to reach and also target the final customer. So with your insight, Miquel, what data can Google offer to the travel industry, and how can our audience utilize this in order to ensure that they become top of mind to their clients?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind here that we don't offer data, right? Our data never leaves our systems. It's something that we take extremely careful. And it's very important to remind that to everyone, data will never leave Google servers, and it's not we don't never sell this data. What we do is to offer the ability for companies to utilize that data to reach their customer objectives, right? So basically, I think I referred that to before. If a travel agency wants to sell more, I don't know, special trips or hotel bookings, what they can do is to run a campaign, including their business and marketing objectives, saying, for example, I want to sell this package that I have or this service that I'm selling at 4% of acquisition cost, or I want to get leads for $10 every lead that I get to my travel agency, right? That depends a lot on how you structure your information, how you set up your business, how you can actually connect your business model to this traffic acquisition way of working. So the more digitized you are in your backend, right, and your structure, the better for you to get access to these services, to this way of acquiring new clients. There's also something that I wanted to add here, which is that price is important. I agree that, and as Patricia said, sometimes, too important maybe. I remember when I was working for the travel industry here at Google that we ran some tests trying to actually understand what's the impact of acting on price versus the impact on acting on demand activation, right? So in a way, and that might sound a bit theoretical, but if you widen the funnel and you get access to more clients, then you can have lower conversion rate, But if you're managing well enough the variable costs of converting clients and acquiring new leads, right, you can end up in a better position because you might have, or you might be selling at a higher price. Your ability to act and to operate with all these variables, I feel it's critical for the success of your business, right? The findings for that particular company with that particular setup that we defined was that we could escape a bit from this price constraint, right, and could operate in a place where we would sell at a higher price, just activating certain demand that was not accessible before. What do you think, Patricia?
Yeah, I mean, what we've done in Roibos is listening to the travel operators and listening to the hotels, and what they want is to work closer to understand each other's needs, so both of them can make more money, so higher margins. So what we've done in Roibos is reduce the number of intermediaries, allow that relationship between the hotel and the travel operator closer by eliminating some of the points, the bridges in the middle or between them. By working closer, you have the same amount of commission, but you have to split it between less players. So, and perhaps they're the relevant ones. So what we're trying to do is that the marketplace sort of reduces those intermediaries that perhaps are not adding enough value to the chain. We are a big defenders of the intermediation, but the right intermediaries, the ones that get closer and they really understand and they can really provide what the hotel or to the client, that hotel, because every client wants experience and not every hotel is the right match. So for that, you go to a travel operator, you go to a travel agency, and they will, with their experience, with their knowledge, with their skills, give and supply the best holiday to that end consumer. So that's what we've done in Roibos, really. The commission is the commission. The hotels have a commission, and what they've done, or what we've done, is give that commission really to that intermediary that is bringing value. So when it comes to personalization, sorry about sometimes this word is a long one, we believe that by working closer, the travel operators understand better what the hotel is offering and therefore giving a much better solution, a much better holiday experience to the end consumer. So that's how we believe by bringing everybody closer. Once we reduce cost, huge amount of cost, the commission really goes to the people that are making, or to the travel operators that are making the real effort and bringing value to the chain. And at the end of the day, if all of those components are working closer and much better, then we result in selling better holidays for our customers, and of course keeping a bigger commission in our pocket. And that's what Roibos brings to the table. So.
Interesting. Yeah, it's definitely a question of, so in this industry, you can very quickly be connected to many people, right? There's a lot of connectivity, and the challenge for many players is actually making sure that each intermediary that you have brings value to the chain of distribution, right? Picking those correctly and making sure that it makes sense, right? And it comes in on quickly, because I wanted to move on now to the questions from the audience, and I actually got some in advance as well. And it comes a little bit to what you were speaking about before, Patricia, because there's a question about, so if it actually is a fact that as a travel agency, I will have direct contact with all the hotels on the Roibos platform.
That's right. What we've done, and sometimes when I speak to the travel operators, they say, wow, you're giving me access to all the contact details. And yeah, our platform gives you the contact details of the commercial person in charge of that hotel or that chain, the operational contact, and the finance contact. So, and they very often say, but are you not worried that we are going to be working directly with them? Well, you are working directly with them within the Roibos marketplace. So the idea is we want to be one stop, so you get it all done in one system. If you can do it directly, by all means, you doing it directly. It means that I failed as Roibos, but our fee is so negligent. Because we're working globally, that what we try to stimulate is that everybody joins to this one marketplace where everybody can just trade, one single technology for everybody, one single contract for everybody, no need to sign an amount of contracts with an amount of hoteliers for travel agencies. So the cost reduces significantly. So this is what I really think, Astrid. The travel agencies and the hotels, they need to look at the cost of that contract. What is the cost of that distribution channel? And that's the key. If having a hotel contracted directly, and you have to implement and do a mapping, or someone traveling to that Mexico every year and do a contract there manually, and that contract needs to go back and be loaded into a system, and then needs to be updated every time they send an offer manually, things like that. You need to add what is the cost of maintaining one contract into your system.
Right.
If that cost is higher than what we offer, then, because maybe you move 5 million euros with one hotel, then I think in that way, you perhaps could invest some technology there and work as closely as efficiently as you can. But if you're not really using big numbers, then you need to look for what is the cheapest and more efficient solution. And when I say cheapest, not just the one that it looks that is the cheapest price, what you were saying, Astrid, that some of our players and most of us have been moving by price, but the price is not just what you see on the paper, the client is paying 999. The price is the cost involved of delivering a holiday at 999. So it's the cost of loading, the cost of traveling, the cost of having offices overseas with people to afford all that contracting. So all of that, it can be much easily done or efficiently done with platforms like Roibos.
Okay. Thank you. I have another question for Google. How can Google predict who has the highest propensity to convert, and in this way help travel operators to determine in which markets they should focus on?
What we do is to use the signals that we get in our platforms to understand customer patterns, right? And since, and I mentioned that before, since a few years ago, we are relying heavily on machine learning, right? So trying to understand not just what has happened with this customer patterns, but predict what will happen based on our machine learning capabilities. What we've seen is that this has helped us understand and predict a lot better what might happen with each customer, each potential customer. So to then include these marketing objectives when we're trying to capture them. For example, we receive signals, and I see here we have a question in the Q&A, and I can connect them both. We see signals from in certain markets about searches, about videos in YouTube that are being viewed by customers, how they interact with our platforms, including these machine learning models. What we can address there and find is how is the best way to get to this access to these clients, and helping them be connected with the businesses with certain KPIs. For example, I'm a tour operator. I want to grow my presence within this market. Let's say, I don't know, I'm from a Dominican Republic and I want to get access to businesses out of the US, right? And I want to get access to them, investing, let's say, 7% of my booking value, right? Gross booking value. Then it's, the ability for you to use the platform to upload this business objective, this marketing objective, and get access to them thanks to the signals plus machine learning. Does it make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And you're
Astrid?
touching on a point that I can also connect to this latest question that just jumped in about, speaking about connectivity, right? And sort of the globalization today. So there's a question from Christy about the benefits of using Juniper over a more local booking tool. And I think to answer that is the fact that given that Juniper has customers in more than 50 countries, means that our connectivity network has grown that fast that it just speeds up the whole process of you being able to reach new customers. So if you do identify that there's a potential there for you in a new market to reach new customers, then you can easily also identify, well, what product may I need, right? So with a platform like Roibos as well, easily and quickly get access in an efficient way to the product that you need and actually connect it all. So there's these pieces to the puzzle that actually just are quickly accessible, because in the traditional days, it was if you're a salesperson, you would often go out and say, hey, I got this contract. And then you go back to IT and they would say, 18 months until you can actually start selling that, right? And that's the speed to market that you sort of get from being on a platform that has a global coverage in that sense, right? So we are just almost running to the end, and I wanted to take the time just to get a couple of final conclusions from each one of you, just finally to round up. I'll give you each your turn. Miquel, if you want to start first, let us know what your advice to those who are in the process of digitalization would be. What should they take into account or consider, weighing out the pros and cons when it comes to speeding up their decision?
Awesome. We have another question in the panel that we haven't answered. I want to be Ankit Patel asked a question on augmenting hotel system with machine learning. I don't know if.
It's really interesting, that one. How about augmenting a hotel system with machine learning for scoring customer reviews based on text analysis? That's
okay. Really please address that.
Yeah. Maybe Patricia, do you wanna answer that one?
Yeah, I would love to comment. I mean, in Roibos, we can filter by many different options. How far from the airport, how close from a special building, etc. By price, by photography, by anything. But that one, we don't have it. But I tell you what, I'm picking on that one, Ankit, and we will have it soon. The matter always comes that the implementation by the travel operators and how you will display that to your end consumer. But I'm sure we can find a way to do it faster.
Perfect. So yeah, I just want to make sure that we cover all the questions here from the
thank you. Yes, thank you for saying that.
And to your question, and just here to add on this question, I think here machine learning it's critical. We believe, and this is something I'm quoting our CEO, that a machine learning revolution is probably even more important than the discovery of fire or managing fire by humanity. And I think here being able to address these challenges and opportunities by applying machine learning will be very important. It's true that it's not accessible to everyone, and it requires a lot of expertise and techie people working on this. And I feel this is why it's again important to rely on good partners to make sure that you have access to these latest technologies to improve the way you run your business. So, and moving into your questions and final thoughts, Astrid, from our side, I feel that the opportunity is huge. It's being amazing, the opportunity since 20 years ago, now more than ever, right? And for companies that are kind of new to the digitalization business, it's probably more important for them to embrace. The good news is that you're never late to this opportunity, right? It's not that, okay, now I have to do 20 years in 6 months, right? It's actually, I would say, the opposite. Feel yourself in a place where you will be probably more agile, right? You will build your capabilities based on everything that has happened in the last 20 years. So that doesn't mean that you have to go through these 20 years in 6 months. That means that you need to understand where to start, right? Where you want to go and how to get there with everything that exists in the current world, meaning internet, meaning mobile and connected devices, meaning data explosion and machine learning capabilities. How you can mix that up, right? Find the best partners for you to embark on that journey, and make sure you have the right milestones for you to understand how you are progressing against objectives. Don't be scared, right? It's never late. Just start moving towards the right direction.
Very much agree.
I couldn't agree more, Miquel. It's overwhelming, when you've got all these new technologies and everything, but digitalization technology comes to make things easier. And luckily enough, there are many companies around that can make your life easier. Just to spend the time to choose the right ones. But as Miquel was saying, 20 years of the travel industry. You want to start now. You don't need to go back down to zero. You can go to last year practically. So because the technology is there, many companies have developed tools, have developed the automated contracting like we do in Roibos, direct contracting with the hotel. So partner with the right one. So the word for me in these difficult times is efficiency. We don't have money to waste, so just look for the right partner.
Absolutely agree. And there could sort of be the metaphor, right, that you're both referring to, is that you didn't miss the train. It's actually a train that you can hop on at any time and just pick it up at the pace and at the place that the technology is at right now, right, and start benefit from it. Absolutely. So that agility and the speed to market that you get from choosing your right partners that give you the right expertise and sort of understand where you want to go with your business. Technology is only a companion rather than an obstacle that in any time. So take it and use it to your advantage at the most. So all right, we are coming to the end. So thank you for joining us. I hope you found it insightful. Within the next 24 hours, we will be sending you the recording of the session today and also the contact details if you want to have any further comments or feedback that you want to share with any of the speakers. Please feel free to do so. And thank you, Miquel. Thank you, Patricia, for this really interesting conversation. So it was a pleasure.
Thank you, Astrid, for being such a great presenter. And thank you, Miquel, for your insightful information. It's been a real pleasure. And thank you, of course, to our audience today. Thank you.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me here, and congratulations.
Thank you. All right. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.